So hi, very good evening to all of you and welcome to the first class of the Modern Indian History. Yes, yesterday it was the first class, but not technically it was first class, but not formally it was the first class. So today we are going to start with those topics. So today we are going to start with the topics that we mentioned yesterday. So the very first topic that I'll be starting today, that would be the advent of Europeans. So before starting the topic of the advent of Europeans, as I have come across that you still have the queries related to the reference book. So already I mentioned those all things to you, and then if you still have any such question related to the reference book, you can start at the beginning. You can ask at the beginning so that I will address it first and then I'll move to the topics. So please send the queries related to any such reference book query that you want to ask today. And please limit your queries to the modern Indian history only, not to any other subject or not to any other topic related to the history. So I'll be telling you only related to the ones which are related to the modern Indian history. So today we will be starting with the advent of Europeans topic. So let me start. Meanwhile, when your queries will come, so I will address those queries then. So let's begin with the very first topic, that is advent of Europeans. Advent of Europeans. Again, there is a story time, so I'll be telling you a few things again once more. Yesterday there was a background, but more elaboration is required. So first of all, the question arises that advent of Europeans and which point of time we do refer to the advent of Europeans. So in fact, when we talk about the advent of Europeans, we are not studying the modern Indian history. We are going back to the medieval times. And basically the arrival of the Portuguese, the person Vasco da Gama at the coast of Kerala, that is considered as the first advent into the Indian part by the Europeans. But does that mean that Europeans didn't had any kind of contact with India in the previous time, or they didn't had contact with India at any time? So that's not true. From time immemorial, Europeans had a trade contact with India, but this trade contact was with the land route and then partially land and partially sea route. Moreover, the Holy Roman Empire, when it was there, so in fact at that point of time when Holy Roman Empire is there, in India Gupta Empire is there, so there was in fact good contact between India and Europe, those all countries which are there in the Europe. So there was very good contact, there was exchange of the commodities, there was very good trade which was established between these areas. But what happened? Holy Roman Empire fell, and then the trade contacts were still there, but now it was used that new players emerged in this trade contacts. So the merchants of the Venice, Italy, Rome, you know that area. So merchants of the Venice, they are the one who established their control. So for some point of time, it continued. Moreover, in the Indian land, influence after the rise of the Islam in the 7th century AD. So Arab traders, they started arriving in India, and Arab traders also increased their influence in India. So in fact, it was the Arab traders who had the direct contact with the Indians for the trade and commerce. So Arab traders continued it for a long time. Then the 1400, somewhere around 1453, that merchants of the Venice and then also the Christian empires which were there in the Europe part, they also had contacts some way or other. But what happened? 1453, there was fall of the this Ottoman this fall of the Constantinople and then Ottoman Turk Empire. See that many of these things you don't know. Just listen as a story. So Over the period, you will come to know about that these all things, that Constantinople and then these all area, but just keep in mind. So what it is, how it is happening. So Constantinople, city of Constantinople fell, and then Ottoman Turk Empire was established. So now it was a Islamic empire. So at this point of time, somewhere around 1450s, somewhere around 1453 or 1450s, this Ottoman Turk Empire came to picture. And then what happened? So the trade contact of the European world, though still it is there, but now there are more intermediaries, and now the Muslim traders have more influence in India. Why India is important? Yesterday I told you something about India, that why India was important for trade, because Indian subcontinent and also the countries which are there in the Indian Ocean, particularly Indonesia, Java, Sumatra, Malaysia, these all countries which are the parts of the Indian Ocean rim. So these countries, they all come under the category of the tropical countries and subtropical countries. And you know that the best kind of climate for any vegetation or variety of vegetation to grow is the requirement is the tropical and subtropical climate. So the flora diversity and the fauna diversity. Flora and fauna, I hope you know what is flora and fauna. So flora and fauna diversity is the feature of these tropical and subtropical areas. Moreover, you can say that some parts of the Africa like Congo and these all, they are also tropical. So why not go over there? But there comes not just the role of the environmental factors or the climatic factors which are, or edaphic factors which are helping India to be known as the country of many commodities, but also the most important is the culture. Then, so the cultural hegemony of India was also heralded for a very long time. In fact, I will tell you, there was one ambassador of the China, and he was ambassador from China to USA very recently. What he commented that for the previous 20 centuries, India dominated China in the field of the cultural hegemony. Then, so in the field of the cultural hegemony, yes. So the Chinese ambassador was very right that we dominated the world by our own cultural diversity and then our own cultural things. And he was also very right that we dominated the world by sending the good things of our culture, or by developing the values of the tolerance, accommodation, diversity, pluralism, then. And we as Indians, we never ever exported any kind of virus to any countries in the world. Then, so he was very much right that his country, what it is capable of. So they send virus, we send software engineers. Then they send virus, we send so many agricultural commodities. Then, so there is a hell difference between the India and China. So what he said, that was quite right. So the culturally diverse country, and then moreover, not only culturally diverse country, but with the cultural diversity, there were many other products to offer. So basically, these all Europeans, they were running for the Indian goods then. So they all were running for the Indian goods, and Indian goods were very important. It's not the today's situation that we feel like that we must be buying this thing from that country, this thing from that country. That was not the situation at that point of time. So the Indian goods were very much in demand in the European market. So what was happening, that these Europeans, they were buying these things from these Arab traders or the merchants who were there in the Venice. So Arab traders or merchants who were there in the Venice, and what happened? So they needed to pay 10 times extra. If the product was actually 10 rupees, so they were buying it in 100 rupees. So these countries, they wanted to buy directly the products from India, and for this to happen, they needed to leave the route which is partial land and partial sea. So in 1400, there was one ruler in the Portugal who was so obsessive about establishing direct trade with India, and when he promoted this seafaring activity or the adventurism in the sea. So many other European countries, northern European countries, they were ready to help him financially in this particular endeavor. So this is what is there. Moreover, let me tell you one more thing, that why European countries, what all things were very popular in the European countries. So first of all, cotton. You know that cotton is one very popular thing. In fact, that cotton is the is the native crop of the Indian subcontinent. The cultivation of the cotton, we can trace it from the Indus Valley civilization. So before the world got to know about the cotton, we the Indians, we were the ones who were using cotton, and we were using the cotton cloth. So cotton was one very popular commodities, and you know, for growing the cotton, we need to have a subtropical climate, and then it is not like that you can take the cotton and then you can grow over there in the Britain. It is not possible, because that soil is edaphic factors that they don't support the growing of the cotton over there in the Britain or any of the countries which are there in the Europe. So that's one problem. Nowadays the situation has changed that everything can be grown into the labs. That's altogether different scenario. That's a scientific advancement. But so cotton was one very popular commodity. Apart from that, what else? So European countries, if you see the nature of the European countries, they are mainly their cuisine, and when you look at their food habits, so they are mainly eating non-vegetarian food. So they are mainly eating non-vegetarian food, and there are less avenues of growing the diverse crops. Though there are some crops which are grown over there, but otherwise not like tropical or subtropical areas. So to eat the non-vegetarian food, if you eat it raw, obviously it will be very animalistic, and then even if you cook the non-vegetarian food without the spices, so it would be very bland, and then it may not, that you may not like it. So for cooking these all non-vegetarian food, what is the basic requirement? Spices. So spices, and where is the spice country? Spice country is India and Indonesia, particularly these areas. So they needed the most important for them, one of the most important was the black pepper, then cardamom, then other different varieties of the spices which were available in India. That's one factor. Moreover, from that, its own diversity and many products to offer. So India, from the time immemorial, it was also the manufacturing hub of the world. In fact, at the time of the Mughal India, by the time of the Jahangir and Shahjahan, we were the #1 GDP in the world, and then manufacturing hub of the world. Then another thing, that there were many other natural products, like we have a very big coastline. So it means that some areas we can produce the pearls. Then we have large population of the elephants from time immemorial. So elephants, so their tuskers were used for ivory. So there were many products to offer to the European world, and that's how these people were running to India. So now these Europeans, they wanted direct route to India, so that if they are buying at 10 rupees, so they may sell it at 20 rupees, not at 100 rupees. So there would be prosperity in Europe, and they will not be giving this money to the middlemen. So this adventurism started, and in this adventurism, it happened in 1498 when the first Portuguese landed on the Indian land. And see that it is not like that Europeans were not coming to India. Earlier they came with a different route, but with a direct sea route, the first Portuguese landed in May 1498. So May 1498, the first European landed in India following the direct sea route. This particular event had far-reaching consequences on the shape and history of the India. So shape and history of the India, and also on the society of India. So this particular incident had far-reaching consequences. Moreover, when we count the number of years, 1498, and then our own colonial history, 1947. So near about how many years? It is 450 years. So 450 years. So when we look at these 450 years, what we see? The first European came to India. in 1498, and by 1947 we were so colonized. 1947 we became free, but in the middle of the ages we became the slaves, or we became that we were subservient to the Britishers, and then Britishers dominated this country. There are many other things which happened in this 450 years. So in this 450 years, much water has flown under the bridge in India. And what has happened in India? So let's look at this. So what has happened in this country? So we as a country, we transformed ourselves from feudalistic, conservative. So India transformed itself from feudalistic, conservative, and exclusive social system, to what we say into capitalistic, progressive, and inclusive social system. Progressive and inclusive social system. Then, so the transformation from this to this. So from this to this, it happened in this 450 years. But what is the process of this transformation? So the process of this transformation is, it happened because of the introspection. Listen to this, that this transformation from this stage, feudalistic, conservative, exclusive social system, to capitalistic, progressive, inclusive social system, it happened due to the introspection based on self-assertion, and introspection based on self-assertion, and also the external stimuli of the ideas like liberty, fraternity, equality, and whatever values that you can count on. So these values, and moreover, we changed ourselves from the one man's rule to the people's rule. So we changed ourselves, our situation, to the one man's rule to the people's rule. And what is this? So one man's rule, what you can call one man's rule, that is, we changed our system from monarchy to what is people's rule, that is, you all know, democracy. Then so that is democracy. So this is what happened in this 450 years. To write precisely, this is what happened in this 450 years. So please write few words. Let's start our first dictation in the very first batch of 2021. So, and before writing, let me tell you that before writing this thing, that my method of operation, that the way I would be teaching in your classes, and then there are some rules of the classes, so that also I must define in the class itself. So first of all, that my method of teaching would be like this only, that I'll be telling you the story, I'll be telling you the things, and then I will be using the board a lot, and then I will be dictating the same things. Some places, some extra information that, for example, that I'm discussing, so you can write down on the sides of your notes or whatever, up to you. It is up to you that you are writing or not, but those important things I would be dictating. Then apart from that, there would be one or two places where I can show the PPTs, or that you can take that those PPTs, if you want, it can be uploaded. But otherwise, I do feel that one such role of the PPTs is that it's very useful in revising, but otherwise disseminating the classes or using it in the classes, I'm not saying that I'm not comfortable, but I say that I feel that unnecessarily killing the time of the class. So though the method of teaching is with the modern age, but overall the concepts is old one. So writing method and writing, I would be writing on the digital board, and you will be writing in your notebook. Because in exam, the exam hasn't changed. In exam, in mains exam, you will be also writing on the paper. So there must be this practice in the classes. In fact, through the class dictation and through the class method only, you will be increasing your pace of writing. So your pace of writing, I know in the beginning that maybe your pace would be little moderate or lesser, but over the period, your pace of writing will increase. So there are some other nuances related to the writing speed that we will talk later, but not in the very first class. Then other thing related to the class, related to the questions, I will again request and then suggest. So both the things, request and suggest, that your questions must be relevant. It must be relevant to the topic. It must not be based on anything that we are thinking and we are speaking like Rahul Gandhi. So please avoid this thing, that don't ask questions like Rahul Gandhi, and be little mature. And what will help you in this regard? So basically, if you look at the previous year questions, previous year का मतलब लगभग 10 से 15 साल. So previous year question paper, you will get a fair idea that what questions, what type of question UPSC ask, and then moreover what things you will be reading in the books and all the places, and what kind of questions you can pose before us. And before one more thing, please take care, because most of the time what happens that when people send questions, so there are so many grammatical errors, and it's not clear to the person who is replying to you that these grammatical errors, that कि तुमने भेजा कुछ हमें पहुंच कुछ रहा है. So please avoid the grammatical errors, and sentence must be good, that it must be punctuated, and it must be at least, मैं ये तो नहीं बोल रहा हूँ कि 100% correct, but at least your expression we must understand that what you are trying to ask. ठीक है? And then one more thing, that after 1 hour 45 minutes, it's a general rule in my class, Modern Indian History, Neeraj Rao's class. I'm not talking about any other faculty. So in my class, that I'll be giving you break, and on the basis of this you cannot demand the break with any other faculty. Then so किसी other faculty से इस basis पे demand नहीं करोगे. This is how I teach in the classes. So I'll be giving you break, 15-minute break maximum. It can be lesser, or some days maybe there will not be any break. So that is up to me. मुझे जिस दिन लगेगा मैं break नहीं दूंगा. हाँ, लेकिन ऐसा नहीं है कि if when you guys are requesting or you are saying something, so I put a blind eye to that. No. You will be equal participant and you will be the stakeholder. Then what else? आगे की कहानी, आगे जो भी terms and conditions हैं वो तो विजन ने तुम्हें दे ही दिए हैं. So what should I elaborate? So let's begin with the rest of the part. So let's start writing. So you write, India had contact with the Europe. India had contact with the Europe. So many students suggest not many students. Okay, so the relevant chapters from spectrum. Okay, the relevant chapters. ऐसे चलो, आज मैं book लेके आया हूँ. I have brought the book. So I was expecting that you guys would be asking this thing. Before break, I will tell you. No issues. I will tell you before break or before the end of the class. I will mark the relevant chapters. ठीक है? No issues. Then further write, India had contact with Europe from time immemorial. From time immemorial, through land route. From time immemorial, through land route. Full stop. But the discovery of sea route, had far-reaching consequences. The discovery of sea route had far-reaching consequences on the shape and course of Indian society and history. But the discovery of sea route had far-reaching consequences on the shape and course of Indian society and history. So I know that since it is the beginning of the batch or beginning of your session, so I cannot move very faster while dictating. So I am little moderate here. Moderate से भी कम ही speed में बोल रहा हूँ. बाद में फिर speed बढ़ेगी. ठीक है? So I am taking care of that. I am taking a note of this, that not all of you are writing very fast, and some of you may be writing very fast. So I'm giving you this much space so that you can also strut your stuff and increase your writing speed. So what you have written, that shape and course of the Indian society and history. After full stop you write, first to arrive in India as traders, first to arrive in India as traders were Portuguese. First to arrive in India as traders were Portuguese, followed by Dutch, comma, Danes, D-A-N-E-S. So Danes means that people from the Denmark. Then so followed by Dutch, British, and British के बाद Danes. So followed by Dutch, British, Danes, and finally French. Again I'm repeating. First to arrive in India were Portuguese, followed by Dutch, English or British, Danes, and finally French. Full stop. After this full stop you write, much water has flown under the bridge. Much water has flown under the bridge in these 450 years. Much water has flown under the bridge in these 450 years in India. 450 years in India. India underwent a transition. India underwent a transition from, so you write this part, feudal conservative, underwent a transition from feudal conservative exclusive social system, feudal conservative exclusive social system to this part, capitalistic progressive inclusive social system. Capitalistic progressive and inclusive social system. During this period, inclusive social system, during this period, with self-assertion based on introspection, and external stimuli of ideas. So external, just 1 minute. So external stimuli of ideas, like equality, liberty, fraternity, and people's rule, instead of one man's rule, that is, from monarchy to democracy. Then, so this is what is about the introduction. So now I will start with the Portuguese first. Now, let me tell you before we move into this topic, importance of this topic also, that the number of questions that we have seen in the previous year. So this is a background about these European companies who are coming to India. So European people, European companies. So Portuguese were the first to come as the traders, then Dutch, British, Danes and French. So when it comes to the Portuguese and Dutch and Danes, so basically I have not seen in last 15 years any question from them, that not from the Portuguese, not from the Dutch, not from the Danes. But when you ask which is important out of these three, so Portuguese are important. In fact, Dutch and Danes, they are just a kind of, they are fillers in this period. You just need to know one paragraph about them, nothing more than that. So I will be elaborating a little bit Dutch, that little bit Portuguese, but otherwise French and British, I cannot comment on the British because the entire modern that we are going to read, that is related to British. So that's obviously very important. French is also important. So here first we will look at the background of the British and French, but later on after this topic when we'll be done with the later Mughals, so it would be all about the British and French rivalry, and then the French defeated. So then it is all about the consolidation of the Britishers and then the rise of this East India Company. So that is the one topic to explore. But here let's begin with the Portuguese. So here little bit extra I would contribute here, but there is no such requirement in the case of the Dutch and Danes. So let's begin with the Portuguese. And so Portuguese, so here the name of the that we are not going to write that Portuguese East India Company, or that in British we'll be writing British East India Company, other foreigners also will be writing the company, but here we are not writing the company. So here you just write Portuguese. So some initial details related to this Portuguese. So listen, as I said to you that there was this Portuguese king who was obsessed with India then, and though in fact he has never been to India, but he wanted to have all the important products from India, commodities from India, and to earn profit from that. So this name of this Portuguese king was Henry, and since he was the one who promoted the geographical discoveries, and he is the one who initiated the shipbuilding activities in his own area to promote the geographical discoveries through seafaring, so he was given the title of the navigator. So he was popularly known as the Prince Henry the Navigator. So he was the one who started this promotion. In fact, in the beginning, he was supported by all the northern European countries. They said that they will be supporting him, and they all were that because of these indirect trade, they all were affected. So they wanted this direct sea route. So Henry Navigator started this, or he initiated this activity, but he was unfortunate. Before his dream can be fulfilled, he died then. But the tradition that he started, his successors, they continued then. So his successors, they continued. Now, around 1480s, there was this Portuguese king. His name was King John. Then, so King John, and not Snow. Then, so King John II. So he was the one who promoted this seafaring activity again at this point of time. And due to his promotion, there was one Portuguese sailor. His name was Bartholomew Diaz, and he reached Cape of Good Hope. So Cape of Good Hope, it was a very important, I can say, the discovery, because half the route to India, sea route to India, was discovered by him. Then, so in fact, in the beginning, he was also confused, just like the Columbus, that he was also confused that Cape of Good Hope is India, but soon he realized that no, it is not India. So it is not India. So at least he discovered this somewhere around 1487. And then the big dream of the Prince Henry the Navigator was going to be realized in 1498. And this time the Portuguese king was King Emmanuel. And during his regime, the sailor Vasco da Gama, he started his journey in 1497, reached to the coast of Calicut in Kerala in 1498. write few words. So please write few words about the Portuguese. The spirit of adventure, the spirit of adventure that led to foundation of modern world. The spirit of adventure that led to foundation of modern world promoted geographical discoveries to the far-flung areas. Promoted geographical discovery to the far-flung areas. Full stop. The primary objective of these voyages, the primary objective of these voyages was earning profit from the trade with the eastern countries. Was earning profit from the trade with eastern countries. From the trade with eastern countries. Done? Full stop. Then you write the name of this person. Prince Henry the Navigator. Prince Henry the Navigator You can also write his timeline. Sorry, this is 60, not 68. So Prince Henry the Navigator, who was the ruler of Portugal, took the lead among European nations and promoted seafaring activities. Then further you mention, during the regime of King John II, a sailor Bartholomew Diaz, crossed the Cape of Good Hope. Now, you must be thinking that what is this Cape of Good Hope? Kahan pe located hai? So, let's have a scene what I mentioned to you in the beginning. So, King John II that I have written. Now, I will be creating one map so that I can make you understand that what I'm trying to tell to you. So, give me a little bit of time. Just 1 minute. So you must be thinking that what I'm doing here, So this is the country that we called, that is Portugal. Here you have Spain. This is Mediterranean Sea. This is Africa. Then, and you have your own country, India. It seems like that Gujarat is bigger than India. So let me expand it further. So Gujarat must not be okay. So once I will start erasing, so it will go this way. मैप भी अच्छा होना चाहिए. तुम्हारा मैप खराब हो सकता है, but as a faculty, I must create a map which must be better. Yes, now it's fine. So you see that what we were calling that here, this is the area of the Turkey. You know that this is Turkey. And then other countries are there. We don't need to delve deeper into the same. So this is the Portugal that is important that we know. So this person, Bartholomew Diaz, when he started, he reached to this place called Cape of Good Hope. And what is this? This is Cape of Good Hope. So this place we can write as the Cape of Good Hope. Let me write here. So this is Cape of Good Hope. And that is what? It's the tip of the South Africa. So this person has taken a very long route starting from here, Portugal, to this way. This is how he is navigating. He has reached to this place. आधा रास्ता हो गया, आधा यहाँ से बचा हुआ है from here to India. Then, so he discovered this half route. And what was the old trade route which I was mentioning to you? So Purana trade route, which was there from time immemorial. We had from the China this Silk route, which is going to the European part of the world. Then there were other routes also. Let me use the other color so that it must be visible that what is there. So that, for example, that partial trade route. So from here to Arabian world. This is Arab world. So Arabian world, and from here to Europe. Then, so this was the earlier route. Now this new route is that it had far-reaching consequences on the shape of the history and of not just the India but also Europe. Then, so their fortunes were going to change just because of this discovery. So half the route was discovered by this Bartholomew Diaz. He reached Cape of Good Hope in 1487. And then happened, King Emmanuel Vasco da Gama reached to this place. But you know, before this place, that Cape of Good Hope kind of thing has happened. So when Vasco da Gama came to India, so it's not like that he discovered this part. Already there were people from the African part, they were knowing that how to trade to India or how to trade the winds to India. So there were many such merchants from Gujarat, from the coastal areas of South India. They were trading with these all area. So in fact that this person, Vasco da Gama, he is reaching to this place. So there was one Gujarati merchant, his name was Abdul Majid, who helped Vasco da Gama to finally come to this place. Then, so, but generally what we read in the history, Vasco da Gama आया, वहाँ पे आया, वहाँ से यहाँ आ गया, ठीक है, directly, but he took the help of this person. So this is how he came to this place. Please write. During the regime of King John II, Bartholomew Diaz crossed the Cape of Good Hope in 1487. So 1487. Then after full stop you mention, during the tenure of King Emmanuel, a sailor, during the tenure of King Emmanuel, a sailor, Vasco da Gama started his journey in 1497. And with the help of a Gujarati merchant, Abdul Majid, he reached he reached to the coast of Calicut. He reached to the coast of Calicut in May 1490, in May 1498. In May 1498. Now listen. So when Vasco da Gama reached to this place, Calicut, coast of Kerala, so Calicut, so he was given good reception by the local Hindu rulers of that area, Zamorins. Then, and Zamorin is name of their dynasty. Then it's not the name of the ruler, but it's name of their caste. Then the caste, or you can say their dynasty, their clan. So it is name of their clan. So the local Hindu Zamorin ruler, he gave the good reception to the Portuguese. Then so Portuguese, and it is there in the Indian blood. You know, you all know, we all know that no matter whatever be the time that we have in our blood, this values of the Atithi Devo Bhava. Means that whenever anybody is coming from any part of the world, first getting prejudiced by the about the person, we give him, we respect him, and then later on we start प्रेजुडाइसिंग हिम. तो पहले कुछ खिला देते हैं हम लोग, फिर उसके बाद में सोचते हैं कि आगे खिलाने वाला है या नहीं है. So he was given reception. Moreover, within that, this Vasco da Gama, he stayed in India for 3 months. He bought so many goods from India and so many commodities from India, especially those spices. He went back to his own country, Portugal, sold these commodities on a very high price, and he earned a huge benefit from this particular trade. Then again he came back to India. And by this point of time he was doing his own negotiation. He was asking the permission of the local Kerala rulers. So he got permission to establish his trading centers at Cochin, Kannanur and Calicut. Then so these all places he established his that Portuguese trading centers. But you know who was not liking this? The Arab traders were not liking this. That how come the Portuguese have been given that they have been given permission, these Europeans, and now our intermediary role would be affected. But since these Arabs are also in the third country, and then these Portuguese are also in the third country, so it will depend on the ruler of that third country that he is giving the permission or not. Then so and they cannot do more than that. For India, from the Indian perspective, you know that anybody is there, we just need to sell our product. We have so many products to offer. So we were selling our products, be it Arab, be it Portuguese. Then that whenever you go to a shop, do they ask your caste, your nationality to sell the product to you? No. So this is what is there. If a producer is there, if somebody is offering any such good, so they don't ask. You just need to be a customer. You buy, you give them the price. That will happen. So this is how. So Portuguese were given permission, but Portuguese at the same point of time, their enmity with the Arabs were growing. Then so their enmity with the Arabs were growing, and Arab were also not liking. In fact, that these Arab, they incited the local population many a times. They attacked on the trading outpost, but that was the private issue of the Arabs and then the Portuguese, not to be colluded with the local rulers. So by 1505, this particular Portuguese government, it realized that we have got got a mine of the profit in India. So they started sending their governors to India, and these governors were generally known as the viceroy. So the first viceroy of this Portuguese, de Almeida, he was appointed in 1505. I will talk little about him over there. So please write few more words what you have written. So he arrived in 1498. Then you write, after this you write. So Vasco da Gama was cordially received by the Hindu Zamorin rulers of Kerala. Hindu Zamorin rulers of Kerala. Hindu Zamorin rulers of Kerala. Full stop. Then you write, Vasco da Gama, after 3 months, returned to Portugal. After 3 months, returned to Portugal, and again came back to India in 1501. Before his return, he established Portuguese trading centers. At Calicut, Cochin, and Kannanur. Calicut, Cochin, and Kannanur. Then further you mention after this. In 1505, de Almeida was appointed. In 1505, de Almeida was appointed as the first Portuguese viceroy. De Almeida was appointed as the first Portuguese viceroy in India. Then, now listen, he was the first viceroy, and then he wanted to further expand the trading outpost of the Portuguese in India. So in fact, that he wanted to control the trade with India. That was his original objective, that he wanted to control the complete trade from India to the European part. And for this, he initiated a policy, or you can say that he promulgated a policy. Name of the policy was the Blue Water Policy or the Carteret system. So what is this Blue Water Policy or Carteret system? The name seems to be that it must have been so many things would have been there in the policy, but it is not. So meaning of this Blue Water Policy or the Carteret system is he wanted to establish the Portuguese hegemony, Portuguese dominance in the Indian Ocean. And how he can be establishing this Portuguese dominance in the Indian Ocean? So by controlling the important trading outpost in the Indian Ocean. So let's get back to the map which I created. So look at this map. So the important trading outpost, for example, that this is in India's area. So Gujarat, some ports are there in the Gujarat, all the places in Gujarat, then Bombay, Goa, then Mangalore, Cochin, these all areas. Then what about this part? इंडियन ओशन ऐसा तो है नहीं कि सिर्फ इधर में इंडिया से टच में है और जो अफ्रीका से टच में हो अफ्रीकन ओशन है. दैट इज आल्सो इंडियन ओशन. देन सो to cut the influence of the Arab traders, they needed to increase their influence over here also. So they needed to make their presence strong at here. What is this? Strait of Malacca. Then so Strait of Malacca, geography पढ़ोगे तो ये सब याद हो जाएगा. अभी हो सकता है नया नाम लगे. No, sorry. Strait of Malacca is that Singapore. This is Strait of Hormuz. So Strait of Hormuz and Singapore is Malacca. Abhi mat jana. So this is Strait of Hormuz. Then the Persian Gulf. Then the Red Sea. These all area. Then here in Africa, already their presence is there in the Cape of Good Hope. So important trade outpost in these all areas. It must be controlled by them. So this was their strategy. So they established very soon, they controlled this entire Malabar and Konkan coast, but in Gujarat they had to face some difficulty. So in Gujarat they had to face some difficulty. In fact, that when Almeida was fighting with the Gujaratis to establish his own such port in the Gujarat, so his son was defeated and killed. So his son was defeated and killed, and what happened? These all things we will not be writing. I'm just telling you as a story. So his son was defeated and killed, but next year he again came well prepared, defeated these people and established his more control over the Gujarat area. But before he can fulfill his entire dream, he was replaced, and then came a new person, a new governor or viceroy in India, Alfonso Albuquerque. Then so Alfonso Albuquerque is considered as the real founder of the Portuguese power in India. So before him, you write what you have written. So you have written the name of this person. Let me get back to the place. So D. Almeida was appointed first viceroy. Then you write that he wanted to establish complete control. He wanted to establish complete control of Portuguese on Indian trade. Complete control of Portuguese on Indian trade. In this regard, he initiated blue water policy. In this regard, he initiated blue water policy or cartage system. Blue water policy or cartage system. Blue water policy or cartage system. Only this much you need to write. Now let's move to the next important person as from the perspective of the Portuguese. So Alfonso Albuquerque. Then so his name itself is little difficult to write. I'm trying my best to write his name. So and the spellings must be correct. So Alfonso Albuquerque. Alfonso Albuquerque. So you write, change paragraph and then you mention, in 1509, Alfonso Albuquerque was appointed next viceroy to India. He is considered as real founder of Portuguese power in India. He is considered as the real founder of Portuguese power in India and in East. Not just India, but and in East. Then further you mention in 1510, he got Goa from the Bijapur ruler. In 1510, he got Goa from the Bijapur ruler. Moreover, he also conquered Hormuz. Nowadays it is known as Hormuz. So yahi likh lo, Hormuz hi likh lo. He also conquered Hormuz. Hormuz in the Persian Gulf. Hormuz in the Persian Gulf and eclipsed influence of Arab traders in India. Influence of Arab traders in India. Full stop. Influence of Arab traders in India. He also built a fort. He also built a fort at Cochin. He also built a fort at Cochin with the permission of local rulers. With the permission of local ruler. Then permission of local ruler. So now come to the last point associated with the Portuguese. Beyond this, there is no discussion required about the Portuguese. Then, so the last viceroy of any importance related to the foundation of the Portuguese rule in India. So that person is in 1529, Nino da Cunha. And if the names are so different, yes, generally we don't come across these all kind of names. Then regular life mein to nahi. So if the names are so different, so it's better that these kind of chapters must end easily and must end quickly. ठीक है? अब कुछ आजकल तो देखो पोर्टुगल के लोग and they are also keeping the name that that people are named with some more fancy and then easily pronounced names. Then so you know that so many footballers, and then I hope that you know who I am indicating. So their names are so fantastic that we can pronounce it very quickly, very easily. Then so 1529, Nino da Cunha was appointed the next viceroy, and what was his contribution? That he got this due and basin from the Gujarati ruler. It's a very important thing that happened to the Portuguese. So basin, initially he got basin from the Gujarati ruler Bahadur Shah, and then later on he also got due from the Gujarati ruler. In fact, that these Portuguese were very notorious people then, and what they were doing, that not only they were always moving with the bombs and these all kind of things in their ships, and then whenever one such negotiation is happening and if negotiations failed, so what they do, that they go to their ship and they start throwing the bombs on the people. Then so here what happened, that Diu area, which is there in the, now you know that it is a union territory. So Diu area, they got it from the Gujarati ruler Bahadur Shah. And why Gujarati ruler gave it to them? So basically 1534 was the time when Mughal ruler Humayun was having some confrontation with the Gujarati ruler Bahadur Shah. So in this confrontation, this Bahadur Shah, he enlisted the help of the Portuguese. Then, so when he enlisted the help of the Portuguese, they readied for it. But what happened? Humayun was going with his own set of challenges in his own area. So what he did, that rather than fighting with the Bahadur Shah, he withdrew from the Gujarat. So in fact, the war did not happen. So these Portuguese were not ready to give it back, to give back the due to the Gujarati ruler. So what happened, that when negotiation started, they started to talk with each other. So Portuguese invited this Gujarati ruler Bahadur Shah to one of their ships, and they killed him. Then so they didn't had even fear that what about that all the people, the next ruler who will come to the Gujarat, that what he will do, he will start fighting. In fact, they were courageous people, and then also they always believed in taking the risk. Then so they always believed in taking the risk, and that's how they laid the foundation. In fact, that is the time which we call the Mughal rule. Then, and at the time of the Mughal rule, they have established so many trading outposts in India, and they very well defended it. Then, so this is what we call that taking the calculated risk, and it is very important in life. You must mark it that it is very important in life to take a calculated risk. Then, see that. You know that aeroplanes, that very recently this accident which happened, and very often it is happening from the area of the Malaysia, Indonesia. So you know that what was the name of that plane in which 370 people, the Malaysian plane, and even till days we are not able to find out that to find the black box of that particular Malaysian plane. And then in fact there were two incidents, and then this has happened. So you know that going by this, at that point of time there was a fear in the world that there must not be that airplanes must not be flying, or there last to last year there was issue with the VMAX planes, then that VMAX planes. So these planes, how you can ensure the safety of the planes? To make them grounded. Yes, that's how the planes are most safe. That if planes are grounded, so they are more safe. But planes are not meant for that. To be grounded. So it is very important to take the calculated risk in the life, and that's how you maybe sometimes you will fail. But sitting idle, you will not become successful. So you need to take calculated risk in life, and you need to have some courage. And though I'm not correlating it with the Portuguese, but the instance came, so then I'm telling you this thing. But कुछ लोग इसको ऐसे यूज करेंगे, कोरोना में यूज करेंगे कि कैलकुलेटेड रिस्क लेना है, ठीक है, मास्क निकाल के फेंको, अरे चलो खुला घूमते हैं बाहर मार्केट में, ठीक है. That is not required. Calculated risk means that if you want to go to market, if you want to go to any place, so keep your mask on, have sanitizer and go. That's okay. Then, so, and moreover, we are also taking the calculated risk. For example, that you guys have joined us in 2021, but in fact our classes never stopped. It stopped only for the period of the April. May we started the the new batch, and then these classes are not getting conducted from the home. I'm coming to the office. We all are coming to the office. We are conducting the classes from the office location, and moreover, we all have taken the calculated risk that no matter that this has happened, which is very risky, but we all are coming to office and taking classes, going back to our homes. So बहुत बड़ी बात नहीं लगेगी किसी को, लेकिन the kind of fearful environment which was there, the kind of danger which got created in the mind, it was a big fear. Then chalo, get back to this part. So Nino da Cunha, so he acquired Dew and Bassein, and that's how he formally established the Portuguese in India. So you just write one line, कहानी लंबी होगी, लिखना दो होगा. So you write that Nino da Cunha acquired Dew and Bassein, and by 15 Dew and Bassein, let me write the right spelling of the Bassein, and by 1538 the Portuguese consolidation on the western coast of India was complete. Western coast of India was complete. And one last paragraph that I'll mention about them. So one of the major impact of this Portuguese on Indian society was due to their arrival, there was promotion of cash crops. Though cash crops were grown in India, but people started to grow these crops in much quantum. Then, so much more quantity, they started to grow it. So you write this last paragraph. One of the major impact on Indian society, due to arrival of Portuguese, was promotion of cash crops, So you write these names of these cash crops which were important for them. So cash crops like cotton, spices, silk, tobacco, etc. Cotton, spices, silk, tobacco, etc. So this is about the Portuguese. So this is all about the Portuguese. Let's move to the Dutch East India Company. Okay? So next company, the second company which came to India, that was the Dutch East India Company. So if at all anything you want to ask, and I don't mean anything by anything. I mean anything means that relevant anything. Then so you can pose that you can send that relevant anything to me. So let's move to the next part. So I hope you are understanding the things which has that abhi tak jo bhi hua hai. So next you write Dutch East India Company. Only references would be there. Dutch East India Company. So listen, that this Dutch East India Company, so was Goa given to Alfonso or did he conquer it? Chalo, I read it, he conquered it. Could you please clarify, Vishwanath has asked. See that it's all about the expression of the people, that those who are writing the books. But overall, there was some confrontation between the Bijapuri ruler and in fact that you have not studied the medieval history, so that's why maybe that some places there would be use of the medieval. So Behmani kingdom, which was established in 1347, this was the time that Behmani kingdom was going through the troubled waters then. And why troubled waters? Because you will be reading that Vijayanagar kingdom ruler Krishnadeva Raya's time was this, 1509 he came to power. So Bijapuri ruler was going through troubled water, and then at one hand he was getting defeated with he was consecutively he was defeated by the Vijayanagar ruler Krishnadeva Raya. On the other hand, there was this Portuguese confrontation. In fact, that this Portuguese utilized this opportunity to demand Goa. So in this confrontation, he gave it. Then, so he unnecessarily did not needed more confrontation, because it is just like that nowadays what we are seeing that in India that we have the problem of the corona, then we have another problem which is created by ourselves, that is the farm bill protest, and then on the other hand the Chinese problem on the LAC, it is not going to be solved soon. And very recently, not very recently, today's news I have heard that in the Pakistan occupied Kashmir, there is a one base where the Pakistan and China both are present right now, and this would be a big danger to India. If the Pakistan is going to collude with the China from the other side of the border, from the western side, already China is there on the eastern side and then on the western side, so it's going to create a big problem. So this is how the situation, precarious situation of the Bijapuri ruler was there. That on one hand, there was this mighty ruler, Krishnadeva Raya, Vijayanagar kingdom, and on the other hand, the Portuguese, they technologically they were quite superior, because they were carrying, one thing you need to know, that these they were carrying the bombs that I told you, but otherwise they were also carrying, later on they also started carrying these cannons on their boat. Then so कहीं पे भी जाते थे, cannon लेके जाते थे, तोप लेके जाते थे. So even if they can be defeated, they can do much harm to the any kingdom or any ruler. So that's how what I was saying, that they always took this calculated risk then, and many a times they were successful. So rather than getting more confrontation with this person, he gave them, ले जाओ भाई गोवा ले जा, तू जो मन करे वो ले जा, ठीक है. So this is how he gave them. But you know that when people are writing the books, they have options, few options, that how to cut short the entire story. So लिख देते हैं कि defeat कर दिया, ठीक है. चलो वापस आते हैं. So let's get back to the Dutch East India Company. So this Dutch East India Company, what was this? So it was established on 20th of March 1602. ठीक है. So it was established on 20th of March 1602. In fact, that British East India Company was established little bit earlier, 1599. But ये company थोड़ी बाद में बनी, आई पहले. Then, so bani baad mein, par aayi pehle. So in 1602 it was created, and very soon the company was created. They came to India. Then, so they came to India. They took flight and then they came to India. So अब कुछ लोग पूछेंगे कि flight वहाँ पे थी. So they came to India, and moreover, when we compare Dutch East India Company with the Portuguese and then also this French and then the English, their ambitions were only earning the profit from the trade, and particularly the spice trade. So their intention was earning the profit from the trade. On the other hand, British and French, who are going to be the most powerful, they had intention of creating their imperialist regime over here in India, not just the earning profit from the trade, but also their imperialist or imperialist regime over here in India. So now these people, Dutch East India Company, not only they were trading in India, they were also trading, they also had trade monopoly with the Indonesian islands then. So Indonesian island, in fact that there was nobody else who can compete with the Dutch in the Indonesian island then. And you know, Indonesian islands, they have the same kind of climate, we can say that, as like the Andaman Nicobar, and moreover the coastal areas of the India where we have the tropical climate like Kerala. So the same kind of spices and then other things were grown over there. So what happened over the period, this Dutch people, they opened their factories at many places, and here the expression factory which I'm mentioning, it is factory meaning warehouse in the beginning, meaning warehouse का मतलब समझते हो ना, that warehouse is where they are buying the goods from the Indians, keeping it there, packing it and sending it to the European part of the world. So they were warehouses, but this is a term which we will be using interchangeably. So they opened their factories or warehouses at various places. We'll be writing those places then, like Pulicat, Cambay, Surat, Agra, Hariharpur, Patna, Dhaka, Kasim Bazar and Nagapatnam. Then so these all places they established. But in the 17th century, they started to face stiff competition with the Portuguese, stiff competition with the French, stiff competition with the British. In this situation, what they decided that they looked at themselves and they saw themselves in the two boats, their legs in the two boats. One is India, one is Dutch. So they thought that if we will be operating in this manner, that both the places we want our presence at both the places, will not be present at any of the places in the upcoming days or in the upcoming years. So they decided Indonesian islands, they have monopoly of trade, wind up their business from India, and entire focus must be there on the Indonesian islands. So they winded up their business from India. Yes, there was a defeat which was required. So that defeat happened in 1759, Battle of Bedara, where English defeated these people, Dutch East India Company, and they winded up their business from India. So their presence was there for a short period of time, but we need to mention them. So please write quickly. इसमें और कुछ भी नहीं mention करना है. It was established on 20th of March. It was established on 20th of March, 1602. 1602 as a chartered company to trade with Mughal India, as a chartered company to trade with Mughal India. Full stop. They were mainly interested in spice trade. They were mainly interested in spice trade and earning profit from it. Spice trade and earning profit from it. Earning profit from it. Full stop. Then further you mention they opened their factories or warehouses. They opened their factories or warehouses at, so I'm writing the name of these all places, at Pulicat, Cambay, Surat, Agra, Hariharpur, Kasim Bazar, Nagapattinam, please write these all places. Two more. Patna and Dhaka. Patna and Dhaka. Full stop. Then further you mention by the beginning, after full stop, by the beginning of 18th century, by the beginning of 18th century, they had to face, by the beginning of 18th century, they had to face stiff competition. They had to face stiff competition with English, Portuguese and French. With English, Portuguese and French. English, Portuguese and French. Full stop. In this scenario, they decided to wind up their business from India, and focus entirely on Indonesian islands. Where they had monopoly of trade. So this is all about the Dutch East India Company. Let's look at the Danish East India Company then. So let's look at the Danish East India Company quickly, and then after we will be looking at the British East India Company and French. Though in the sequence of their arrival, first is the Portuguese, then Dutch, then English, and then the Danish. But I'm covering the Danish part little earlier. British is little larger part. So let's mention next company. Please mention Danish East India Company. Danish East India Company. So listen, that this company was established in 1616, and not only these people, that Danish people, the people from the Denmark, they were concerned about the trade, earning profit from the trade, profit from the trade with the Eastern nations, but also they also had one clear agenda of promoting their own religion, that is Christianity. It does not mean that other companies were not doing. They were also doing, they were promoting their agenda of that, they were promoting their own religion, but they had their clear agenda, Danish East India Company, so promoting their own agenda of the promotion of their religion. Now, so these people, their presence was not there in many parts of India. In fact, they were the one who were concentrated at just two places. Then, so to say there's two places, Tranquebar, which is in the Tamil Nadu, and there is Sirampur, which is also known as the Frederick Nagar, one part of the Sirampur, Frederick Nagar in Bengal. Their presence was there at these two places. Now, Sirampur in Bengal, they made this place as the hub of their missionary activity. Hub of the missionary activity. And there was one officer, one Danish officer who was appointed here. His name was William Reverend Carey. William Reverend Carey in 1799, he established a press in Sirampur to publish Bible. So a press in Sirampur to publish Bible. Moreover, in 1819, due to the efforts of this same officer, William Reverend Carey, one college was created known as Serampur College for providing Western style higher education to the people who were there in at the Sirampur area. Moreover, they also over the period realized that they are not earning any profit then, or kind of that for what they came, and they also winded up their business by 1845, and they gave the Serampore area to the British, went back to their own place. मुझे पता है कुछ लोग पूछोगे कि क्यों दे दिया. हर चीज का जवाब जरूरी नहीं होता है. क्यों दे दिया, जितना जरूरी है उतना लिख के आगे बढ़ जाते हैं, जो जरूरी है उसको ज्यादा पढ़ते हैं. So please write. You write, it was formed in, this company was formed in 1616. Company was formed in 1616, 1616. Then you write, their most important trading outpost, their most important trading outpost was at Tranquebar in Tamil Nadu and Frederick Nagar near Serampore in Bengal. Frederick Nagar near Serampore in Bengal. Serampore in Bengal, full stop, you write. They were not only interested in trade, but also Christian missionary activity. Christian missionary activity. Then you write, they made Serampore hub of missionary activity. They made Serampore hub of missionary activity. Full stop. After full stop, you write, in 1799, Danish officer William Reverend Carey, in 1799, Danish officer William Reverend Carey established a printing press at Serampore, to publish Bible. Established a printing press at Serampore to publish Bible. Full stop. He also established Serampore College. In 1819 for providing Western style higher education. Western style higher education. And then the last line you write about the Danish people, that you mention in 1845, Denmark ceded, C-E-D-E-D, Denmark ceded Serampore to Britain. So Denmark ceded Serampore to Britain. So this is all about these three companies. Now we are done with the three companies, two more, and then after I'll start with the later Mughals then. So I'll start with the later Mughals, and if at all time would be left then. So now at this time I'm giving you the break, and after the break we'll continue, and moreover what you have asked, spectrum, some of the chapters I will mark then. So some would be little more. So let's see. After the break, I'll mark the chapters. Chalo, before the break, there is a question. Let me see. Our viceroys are like the administrator of only trade relations with India, or they were appointed with the intention of subjugating of regional rulers like the British. See that when they are coming, listen to this part. Sampath has asked this question, that whenever any such particular company, when they were coming to India, or any such European traders when they were coming to India, so they all were coming with the permission of their own rulers. Then, so when you say that chartered company, this is not a chartered company. So this is direct representative of the government of the Portugal. Then, so these viceroys or these governors, what they were, that when they came to India, so since they are direct representatives of the Portuguese government, so if there is any threat to their commerce and trade, or the area which they have, that where they have established their hegemony, or where they have established their trading outposts, so any person who is fighting with them, or who is causing harm to them, so they were entitled to fight with them. Yes, so they were entitled to fight with them, but the situation they needed to see themselves, that who they can fight, who they cannot fight. So they were allowed to do so. So already it has been mentioned to you that what were the features of the Blue Water Policy. What I was explaining, Pavika, I think that you didn't paid attention to that part. Please look back at the Blue Water Policy. That what I mentioned, that Blue Water Policy, oh my God, this is what I come across that in the classes. So you guys need, this is another request which I'm making in the class, that when I'm saying the things, please be attentive in the classes. I know that in online classes this kind of distractions happen, that people, that sometimes that you heard Blue Water Policy and then you have gone to fetch the blue water for yourself, and meanwhile I'm complete with the story. Then so don't worry. So what I said to you, I'm again explaining, but आगे मैं डांट दूंगा ऐसा होगा तो. So what I said to you in the Blue Water Policy, that controlling the complete hegemony, complete dominance in the Indian Ocean, and how you'll be controlling, by controlling the important trading outpost in the Indian Ocean rim area, which included the Cape Comorin, which included the Cape of Good Hope, which included the many places in the Africa, including the Hormuz. What was this? So this is the policy of the, and also creating that, including creating one port in the Gujarat. That's what I was telling you, that he was fighting the battle with the Gujarati people where his son was defeated. So this is what was the Blue Water Policy. So आगे से attention में रहना, और beginning of class है तो मैं थोड़ा सा critical नहीं होता हूँ, क्योंकि मान लो पहली क्लास में मेरा ही impression खराब हो जाए कि सर तो बड़े गुस्साते हैं, but मैं सच में गुस्साता हूँ. Later on you will see. Then so with this note I'm giving you the break and try to be attentive. ठीक है, चलो. So 15 मिनट बाद I will start the rest of the portion. So since you guys have asked about that what all chapters to be studied from the spectrum, so I have brought the book today, and let me tell you one thing, that I don't know that which particular version you have spectrum. Generally, that since you are starting in 2021, so what is available in the market, that is the new version of the spectrum. Okay? So this new version of the spectrum, how many pages are there? So 847 pages are there. So there used to be that old spectrum, जो I think by the time of the 2016, the old spectrum was half of this. Then आधे से भी कम था. In fact, there were only 350 pages in that spectrum, and that was the one very beautiful book. In fact, that you didn't needed to mark the chapters in that spectrum. So if any of you has that old version of the spectrum, that smaller book, which thickness was this much, वो पूरा पढ़ना है, ठीक है, उसमें कुछ मत छोड़ना. So don't leave any such chapter in that particular one. But in this, what they have done, so they have added some new chapters, and in fact that from the very first chapter, This is newly added. Last year ही add किया था, and this year means there was a question. So earlier I was not suggesting this thing, but what you need to see. So let me tell you that second, chapter 1, that sources of the history of modern India. Let me tell you one by one that what is related, that sources of the history. They have asked related to sources of the history in ancient and medieval. वहाँ पे पूछा है. Some questions have been asked related to the sources of the Indian history in the ancient and medieval, but till this point of time, I have not come across any question related to the sources of modern Indian history. So I'm not expecting this to be there in the upcoming exams also. So this unit 1, I'm talking about the unit 1 and the chapter 1, you can skip if you want. My suggestion would be that I would be skipping, or if you want to read, you can have a one go look, not with a pressure that you need to remember everything. You can have one go look, but otherwise you can skip. Second chapter you must read. Then, so in the unit 1, the second chapter you must read. Then second chapter you must read in the unit 1. So I'm talking about the unit 1. Ab isme jitna chapter hai, all the chapters, I'm just telling you the details of this. So in the unit 1, second chapter you read, you can skip the chapter 1. In the unit 2, listen, unit 2, Advent of Europeans in India is mentioned. This is one chapter which I will suggest to you, one unit. Entire chapters in this you can skip. Kyunki, see that what you are reading in the class and what you are learning in the class, I feel and I hope that this is going to be enough for this. So for this part, you don't need to refer. Moreover, you have the printed material of the vision. I will better suggest that read it from the printed material. ये वाला unit 2 पूरा छोड़ देना, ठीक है? So please don't read the unit 2 from this spectrum. Then there is no such choose and leave from the unit 3. In fact, unit 3 to unit 9, all the chapters you need to read. I will not be marking. So entire all the chapters that you need to read from this one. So all the units, all the chapters unit 3 and continuing till unit 9. Then after the last unit which is mentioned from page number 590, that is independence and after. So unit 10. Why I'm saying to you that you don't need to read unit 10, let me tell you some things related to this unit 10. Unit 10 is not modern Indian history. So let me write it on the board of this spectrum. This unit 10, it is post-independence. So it is not modern Indian history. Post-independence. Now, since it is post-independence, so in the pre-stage of the exam, in the prelim stage, you don't need to read it. Then, now this syllabus is specifically mentioned in the mains stage. Moreover, how many questions from this section? So, how many questions from this section? So, how many questions? Listen to this. In 2013, the very first year of the new pattern, 3 questions from the post-independence. Okay, 3 questions from the post-independence. Then next year, no question. 2014, no question. 2015, no. 16, no. 17, no. 18, no. 19, no. 20, no. Only in 2013 they asked 3 questions. Then after, as if that UPSC has forgotten that there is this post-independence consolidation. So what you need to do for this section, and these 3 questions which were there, you could have addressed this from the class notes. Let me tell you that how many classes will happen related to the post-independence in your batch or any other batch in the Vision IS. 6 classes will happen, 5 to 6 classes, and maybe it may be possible that maybe I may take this section or any other faculty can also take this section. Then, so generally that it's possibility that 70% of the case that I would be the one who would be taking this case, that this section. So in this section, what is there, that your class notes are going to be, I don't use words sufficient for all the other portions or any stage of the exam, but I am saying this that for post-independence, if at all any question is going to come in the upcoming years of the mains stage of the examination, so this notes would be much more than enough. And why I'm saying this, that you don't need to do the soul searching in so many other books done for this particular section, and unnecessarily you will be investing so much of time, your precious time on this particular section, which you can address with the 6 classes and the class notes you would be writing. So today you have got that, you have realized that what methods I'm adopting in the classes, so you will be having a very good note, in fact very good class notes that you can use in the exam. So please don't read this section from any other source, and since it is only in the mains stage, so you don't need to read it from very beginning. You got that? So unit 10 you can skip, and it started from 590 page and going till 847. 200 से ज्यादा पेजेस हैं, जरूरत नहीं है, ठीक है? So you can skip this portion. And unit 3 to 9 full chapters, all the chapters you need to read. Unit 2 only, unit 1 only one chapter which I said to you, second chapter you need to read. Now let me look at the other questions that you guys have asked. So Niharika has asked, apart from the reference book mentioned by sir in yesterday's class, do we need to read the new NCERT from 6 to 12? See that if you're, Niharika, if you're reading from the old NCERT, there is no need of reading it from the new NCERTs. The modern Indian history will not change. Let me tell you, the modern Indian history will not change. If 1942, the Quit India movement happened, what all happened, where the meeting happened, what Gandhi said, there would be same things. Either you read the NCERT of 6th or NCERT of the NCERT, new NCERT or old NCERT. So these informations are same. So don't do the, then don't go after so many books. In fact, reading the old versions would be much more than enough. And let me tell you, there is one book of this modern Indian history in class 12th, which is known as the Themes in Indian History Part 3. This is the class 12th NCERT and new NCERT. I have not seen such a bakwas book, and I have not expected such a kind of information from the NCERT. So that book is not at all good. So that book is not at all good even to look at. So wo NCERT, new NCERT is not good. 6 to 7, 6 to 10th, so not required. If you are reading the old ones, don't go with the same. Then what C has asked, we are starting our UPSC preparation afresh, or will the classroom notes cover the gist, their gist? So see that one thing, that classroom is not just about the gist of the that NCERTs. It is much beyond the gist of any book. Yes, classrooms, if you bracket classrooms into the gist of the NCERT, so I would be just a kind of a an acad then, or I would be a kind of a forumite, or I would be a kind of a babas and babis then. So then there is no need of enrolling yourself in the Vision IAS then. So these classes, you need to understand, I'm not criticizing you, but just I'm telling you the truth, that when you are in the classes, it's not just about the gist of anything. This you can do at yourself, that creating the gist of any book you can do it yourself. This class is all about that, not only the one source of the information, but many important sources of information. See that you guys have started your preparation of first, so I know that there are many subjects that you would be reading, that you'll be reading geography, polity, economy, history, not just the history. So there is so much task before you to cover. But what about us? That from last 8 to 10 years, I'm reading just only modern Indian history and the history part. And if I have read more than 20 books, so this is not just the gist of the NCERT, it's overall what knowledge is there with me. I'm not saying that would be sufficient, but whatever way that I can contribute to your success, your benefit, that would be there in the classes. Moreover, the gist is just an information. Gist is just an information which is a kind of a factual information. How come you will develop the perspective, how you can develop the analytical abilities, and then how you'll be applying your knowledge, these all you learn in the classes. It's not just about the gist then. So I hope you understood, Niharika. So thank you for asking this question. Many people must have been thinking this way, so they must have got the reply. Then Ruth Justin, oh, your name is very good, very nice. So suggest the chapters in Spectrum. I already suggested India's Struggle for Independence. So India's Struggle for Independence is not a book where I will suggest the chapters. If you will ask me, I'll say everything which is there in the struggle for independence, you need to read. So there is no such suggestion of the chapters. पढ़ना है तो पूरा पढ़ना, नहीं तो मत पढ़ना. This is what I am telling you. Few students are also asking about the Tamil Nadu board books. So let me tell you that Tamil Nadu, I think that yesterday also I mentioned about the Tamil Nadu book. So Tamil Nadu textbook, see that information wise, it is very narrow. Though the things which are mentioned in the Tamil Nadu book, they are very lucid and then were very simple language, and you directly come to know about that what is mentioned, and in fact that you are able to remember those facts then. But otherwise the information is very skimmed, very less. So if you are referring, that would not be sufficient. Anyhow, the Tamil Nadu board books will not be sufficient. You will have to add the NCRTs and the other things that which are happening in the classes. Then Sambhu has asked, also please analyze both the books, sir, Bipin Chandra of the Penguin edition and Spectrum, pros and cons of both these books. Chalo, so since you have asked Sambhu, so I'll tell you that pros and cons of these two books. So these are the two very popular books. Then so you choose between these two books, but when you have asked about the pros and cons, there may be the subjective biasness from my side. Then, so what is the subjective biasness from my side? That very often I am more interested towards this Bipin Chandra, because I do like the story format. Then, so I do like the story format, and Bipin Chandra was in the story format. So I appreciated that book, and moreover, the Bipin Chandra book, that it helped me a lot in developing my language and the language in which I will be representing my case in the answers. Then, so it was helpful in many ways that I have inclination towards the story format. So I did like Bipin Chandra. Then next what I said to you, that language was beautiful. This language can be inculcated, it can be replicated in the answers. Then that is the one part. But what is the difficulty, or you can say that cons of the Bipin Chandra, that many times many people, and there are many friends of mine who got selected with the good ranks, in fact in top 10 itself. So they were also reading Bipin Chandra, but they all have commented that what is a little bit difficult in the Bipin Chandra to extract information from the prelims examination. Though they said at the last that they extracted good number of information from the perspective of the prelims examination, but it took a little bit of time for extracting information. So maybe in this regard, that it is kind of, you can say that in this regard, that prelims related information and extraction of the prelims related information, Spectrum could be better. Now come to the Spectrum. What are the goods and then pros and cons of the Spectrum? So Spectrum is one of the very popular book, and in fact the old version, when I was a aspirant and I was preparing, so we did read that old version, the smaller book, and it was just a one that we completed the book in one go. So you can complete old version, you can complete in one go, or moreover the chapters which I referred to you today, even these chapters, that this much units and chapters, if you read in one go, so it can be completed very quickly. But since it is not in the story format, so what happens that after one point of time, you feel like that there is so much of complexity in your mind, that so much of fact and so much detail is there, that you are not able to ingrain it. Then, but over the period when you are revising it 3-4 times, so that information gets ingrained, and it's all about UPSC exam is all about the revision, 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 and revision. Then, so prelims related information very at the very forefront, it is mentioned in the Spectrum book. And with some more number of the revisions, you will be able to retain. So there is no such difficulty like extracting the information like Bipin Chandra. But when it comes to the language and presentation or answer writing skill, so Bipin Chandra is far better than this book. Then so this book, so answer writing and the presentation skill you can learn from the Bipin Chandra, and moreover the other things you can learn from this one. So both the books are good. Since you asked about the pros and cons, both the books are good. And when it comes to the language, so let me tell you one thing very clear, that language is something which we develop over the period. And even your previous education, how you performed academically in your previous time or in your college life in other places, and moreover at this point of time when you have embarked on this journey of the UPSC, so how well you are going to develop your language and enhance your language capacity, your vocabs, so that will also be the one factor which will determine not just the book, that how you are going to write the answers. Then so any of the book you can take, both are good. ठीक है, कोई बहुत दिक्कत नहीं है किसी भी किताब के साथ, किसी एक को ले लो and you start reading. So I told you since you asked. So Pushpinder has asked that what was the main cause for finding sea route to India if there was an existing land route, that is Silk Route. So I think that Pushpendra, you missed what I said when I was creating the map, that what was the main problem. सो के उठे हो क्लास में, मतलब I this is the very first class and then this I don't expect that मेरे, let me tell you one very local phrase in my own language, that generally what happens that there is a discussion, and in this discussion what happens that when the people that we are discussing about something and then these all kind of things, and then all of a sudden somebody opens eyes and then asks, oh what happened, this is what is happening. So then we say that सारी राम कहानी हो गई और तुम्हें ये नहीं पता है कि सीता किसकी वाइफ थी. Your question is like the same. Then so chalo, since it is the very first class, so I will explain it once again, that why that already land route was available, where you needed to listen that very first part. When I just started the class, I was telling you that Holy Roman Empire fell, and then the control which was established over there by the Constantinople, and there were so many intermediaries. So when I drew the map, that from the perspective that you must locate the things over there, and the land route was blocked by these people, that the Islamic rulers of the Ottoman Turk Empire and the Arab traders. Moreover, the land route is also very difficult. Then that as compared to the old route, that it is very difficult, and you need to know that what is the route of the silk, that the Silk Route. So it is going till Venice. So this Venice is already captured, or the influence of the Ottoman Turk Empire is increasing. That's what I said. So please don't be like this. Please be attentive. This I expect. Then so from the next class, I expect you to be attentive. Then Kunal has asked, the minute details asked in the prelims to form question will, okay, let me see. The minute details asked in prelims to form question, will those all be covered by spectrum? So थोड़ा सा तुम्हारे punctuation में दिक्कत है, and then also in the sentence formation, but I am getting that what you are asking. So minute details which are asked in the prelims examination, so that type of question, will those all be covered by spectrum and class notes? See, the word all is a, let me tell you, all, only. Then these are extremes. So these are extremes. Then if UPSC says to you that ये किताब पढ़ लो, सारा इसी से पूछूंगा, so there is no role of the UPSC. So it's up to UPSC what it considers all. In fact, everything under the sun can be asked by the UPSC in the prelims examination. So this query itself is redundant. All cannot be covered in any book. So all cannot be covered in any book. This is redundant. Then so what you need to see, that मैं तुम्हारा क्वेश्चन फिर से फ्रेम करता हूं, that if we will be reading spectrum and then the class notes then which is provided, so will it be that this would be okay for getting good marks to clear the prelims examination and also to get good marks to qualify the mains examination? So there I can say yes. But when you ask that if UPSC is asking 18 questions from the history part, all the questions would be there, no. I cannot claim this, and nobody can claim this. Then, and nobody can say that this is the book from where all the questions can come. Then, or this is the notes, this note and this book combined, all the questions will come. So then there would be no use of the unpredictable service commission. Then, so I hope you understood. But yes, एंड आई वेरी फर्स्ट क्लास, कल वाली क्लास थी, कल तो क्लास थी ना, तो कल वाली क्लास में आई टोल्ड यू दैट व्हाट वाज द कट ऑफ एक बार फिर से देख लो, that these years out of 200 what is the cutoff? 96, 98, 98, then how much? 105, कितना परसेंट है ये? 105 ही ले लो, this is 52.5%. then how much is this for 98? अरे ये तो मूव नहीं हो रहा है. So this is 49%. Then this is how much percent? So this is also 49%. Then so as you can see that 48%. 100% थोड़ी पाना एग्जाम में, एग्जाम क्लियर करने के लिए. So this is the indicator. Then so if you are correcting 70 questions, suppose that 70 questions in the prelims examination sahi mark kiya out of 100, and suppose that 21 is incorrect. 21 incorrect. So 1 by 3 is the negative marking. So 21 means 7. Out of 70, if you reduce 7, so how much is left? 63. How much marks you will be getting? Let me write in the board. 63 correct, it will convert into 126. Cutoff is what? Highest you can see 105, 98, 98, 96. So तुमको टारगेट ये करना है, ठीक है? एटलीस्ट 70 करेक्ट हो. 100 का 100 तो करेक्ट कर ही नहीं सकते हो. एंड चलो वन फाइन डे आई विल बी शेयरिंग वन सच थिंग विच हैपेंड इन माय ओन लाइफ. किसी और क्लास में शेयर करूंगा. वेरी फनी थिंग विच हैपेंड एट वन पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम व्हेन आई वाज प्रिपेयरिंग. सो आज तो नहीं, आज चलो बहुत सारी क्वेरीज एड्रेस कर दिया. ये ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनीज को खत्म करते हैं अभी, फिर देन टुमारो आई विल स्टार्ट विद द, और नेक्स्ट क्लास आई विल स्टार्ट विद द दिस पर्टिकुलर later Mughal. So आज तो नहीं start हो पाएगा since so many questions were there from your side. So let me begin with the English East India Company. So I hope you guys have understood, and then again I'm making a request, please be attentive. ठीक है, क्वेश्चन पूछने से पहले ऐसा जंप मत करो, that just for the sake of asking question be attentive, or moreover you can wait, that you can see that you can just revert back, you can just think back that if at all this question which I'm asking, if sir has addressed in any point at any point of time. ठीक है, so ऐसा करो, because you see that we also need to save our time. Then so save our time. And unnecessarily, if we will be indulging in unnecessary kind of questions, so it will kill the time. Now come to the British East India Company or English East India Company. English East India Company. So here I am just giving you the background of this company. ठीक है, यहाँ पे सिर्फ background बात करेंगे, elaboration तो आगे होना ही है. So you listen that this English East India Company, basically initially it was known as the English Association of the Merchant Adventurers. Then so it was known as the English Association of Merchant Adventurers, and it was created in 1599 to carry on trade with the eastern countries. Then so to carry on trade with the eastern countries, then in 1600, on 31st of December 1600, the Queen of England, Elizabeth, she gave the royal charter to this company, and royal charter for 15 years means that for 15 years all their privileges would be intact. So with this royal charter, they embarked on journey to India. And that journey in the beginning was in 1608, led by the British captain Sir William Hawkins. Then so William Hawkins came to the court of the Jahangir to ask for the concessions, and as such Jahangir gave the concessions. So we will be writing, I will tell you a little bit more about this William Hawkins, but first you write few words about the English East India Company. So you write that the English Association of Merchant Adventurers, English Association of Merchant Adventurers merchant adventurers was established in 1599. Was established in 1599. With the objective of carrying on trade with the East. With the objective of carrying on trade with the East. Full stop. Then, further right, on 31st December 1600. So on 31st December 1600, on 31st December 1600, Queen Elizabeth gave royal charter. Queen Elizabeth gave royal charter for 15 years. To the merchant adventurers. For 15 years to the merchant adventurers. Then merchant adventurers, and this company immediately not, but over the period, after some point of time, this company famously came to be known as the English East India Company. So it's not the initial name, but over the period it came to be known as the English East India Company. So you write that royal charter you have written, then you write that over the period the company came to be known as English East India Company. Over the period came to be known as English East India Company. Now listen, one more thing which I need to tell you since it is beginning of the class. कितनी बार repeat कर रहा हूँ मैं? So I know that many words which I'm using in the class, that for example cultural hegemony or those words which you haven't heard. So when the classes are advancing, आज तो दूसरी ही है, so advancing, suppose that 10 classes, 15 classes, so you will feel that your vocab is enriching. Then, so not just enriching, but we will be explaining these all terms whenever it would be required. So please don't feel very much concerned about this, that what is the meaning of these all words, but try that, see that suppose that if this word has come, so if you don't know, so try to that look at yourself, that कुछ अपने end पे research करके भी देख लो, and we will also be replying to you that what is the meaning of the particular word. Then, so in this way, that particular word or that particular vocab will come into your own dictionary, and if you will be using it, so it will become part and parcel of your dictionary. Then, so words will come. Then, so since you have just started your preparation, many of you must have started little earlier, but I assume that most of you have just started your preparation. Many of you are engineers, many of you are not from the humanities background, some of you are from science background, some of you are from medical background. So we cannot assume that you know everything. Yes, it's reality. And if you don't know, that's good. If you don't know, so you can remember these all kind of things. The problem lies where people think that they know so many things. Then, and when the people think that they know these all things, so what they do, that if information is disseminated in the classes, they ignore it. Then, so in the process, they also ignore many relevant informations, and that's how they are the one who are the casualty of the exam. So when you don't know anything, it's perfect, yaar, that if you don't know about some particular incident, some particular word, it's perfectly good you ask, and then when you are knowing the answer, you will remember it for the long time. Since you have this this zeal or enthusiasm for asking what you don't know, then, so now let's come back to this one. So over the period, this came to be known as the English East India Company. Now, the next big event in this English East India Company related thing. So in 1608, one British envoy led by Sir William Hawkins. Then, so Sir William Hawkins, he came to the court of Jahangir, At this time, Mughal ruler was Jahangir. So he came to the court of Jahangir to seek concessions. And one good thing was the William Hawkins, that he brought some presents to the Jahangir. Jahangir was impressed by that. Moreover, William Hawkins was well versed in Turkish language then. So he was well versed in Turkish language, and one of the common language in the Mughal court was Turkish. Persian and Turkish were the common language, and Mughal rulers were knowing these all languages. So without a help of a aid, when he conversated with the Jahangir in the Turkish language, so he was impressed. And then he gave concessions to the this particular William Hawkins or the British East India Company. But what happened? Portuguese are present in India from very long time, and moreover they are the one who are trading with the Mughal India, so they have very deeper relations in the court of the Mughal. Many nobles in the Mughal court, they have deeper relations, they have deeper trade relations with them, so they are the one who started to object this concession to the British East India Company. And moreover, some of the nobles who were also the kind of good colleagues of the, or you can say that friends of the Portuguese, they also objected. And Jahangir has come to power in 1605, and 1608 was just 3 years that he has come to power. So rather than confronting his nobles and other people, he thought that why to fight with our own people on the question of the Britishers. So he revoked the concessions given to the William Hawkins. Then so he revoked the concessions. Now he was that frustrated William Hawkins, he went back to Britain. But British are not the people who will accept the defeat very soon. In fact, that they never accepted the defeat, or they never accepted a situation to be the final. Then so they were all persuasive. In 1615, another envoy came to Jahangir's court, and that was led by Sir Thomas Roe. So next envoy which came to the Mughal's court or Jahangir's court, led by Thomas Roe, and Thomas Roe was the one. It happened in 1615. So at this point of time, many things has changed in the Mughal court. Jahangir has more hold over here, and when the second time when he came, so this time Jahangir did not paid any heed to any such noble or any other person. He gave full concessions to the British East India Company. And in fact, there was role of the Noor Jahan also at this point of time. That she was also instrumental in Thomas Roe or the British East India Company getting more concessions from the Mughal court. Please write. So what you have written over the period. Then you write that in 1608, a British envoy, in 1608, a British envoy, 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 led by Sir William Hawkins, came to Jahangir's court, to seek concessions, full stop. As such, Jahangir granted them concession. And British created their warehouse at Surat and Masulipatam. British created their warehouse at Surat and Masulipatam. British created their warehouse at Surat and Masulipatam. Surat and Masulipatam. Full stop. Then further you mention. But very soon, Jahangir revoked all the concessions. Under the pressure of nobles. Under the pressure of nobles. Done? Under the pressure of nobles. Then further you write, after full stop. In 1615, another British envoy, led by Thomas Roe, came to Jahangir's court, and it was given full concessions, or it was given further trading concessions. Full mat likhna, further likhna. Further trading concessions. Full would be an extreme word, and we don't know that what is the meaning of the full. A trading concession may what we will include as a full. So see that we need to be very cautious about the words also that we are writing. That many a times that you need to avoid the extreme words while writing the answer. For example, that suppose that somebody, that UPSC exam, they ask you that what is the solution of the farm bills. Then somebody will go on to write that the only solution of the farm protest is repealing the law. So this is what is the extreme word, and this is what is the extreme end that farmers are stuck to. It's not the only solution. You talk. You talk. It's not the only solution that you repeal the law. Why repeal the law? And you just debate on this. And what all the problems are there related to this. So the only word over here is the problem. So only is an extreme word. You will be using it with very caution, and with these extreme words, many a times in the prelims examination also, people arrive at answer just looking at the extreme words like only, then like all, then so पढ़ोगे और धीरे धीरे समझोगे आगे के टाइम पे कि कैसे इन वर्ड्स के बेसिस पे, that on the basis of these words you will be able to figure out that what is the right answer. So it will take a little bit of time. So you write next one. What you have mentioned. So you were given further trading concessions. Then after this trading concessions, what happened? So the Britishers went on to establish their factories at many places. So they established their factories at Agra, Ahmedabad and Bharuch. And then in 1639 they got a good concession, and whereby in and around Madras they got some villages on lease, and these villages on lease which they got, they created their first fort, which is known as the St. Fort George. Then so you write, within a short period of time, British created their factories at Agra, Bharuch, Ahmedabad, then Agra, Bharuch, Ahmedabad. Then further you write, in 1639 they got some villages on lease. They got some villages on lease, where some villages on lease near Madras, where, why this is not moving, just 1 minute, so many a times it is stuck. So where they created Saint Fort George. Then so where they created Saint Fort George. Then so now by this 1639, this Saint Fort George at the Madras, it became the hub of the Britishers. The next development or next feather in the cap of the Britishers happened in 1661. Listen to this. the Portuguese, who were the adversary of the British, now they are going to become friend. Then, and how they are going to become friend? In 1661, there was this matrimonial alliance or matrimonial relation developed between the Portuguese and the British. How come? So the Portuguese princess Catherine of Braganza, she was married to the British Prince Charles. Then, so she was married to the British Prince Charles. What number? Second. So Charles II. So she was married to the Charles II, and as such, in this matrimonial alliance, the Bassein area, which was there with the Portuguese, you remember, and it was given to the British crown, or it was given to the British prince as a dowry prize. And this British crown in 1668, they handed over this Bassein area to the Bassein, that is Bombay, that Bombay area, to the British East India Company. So 1661 they got it, and then they transferred it to the British East India Company in 1668. So please write mention in 1661 there was a matrimonial alliance. There was a matrimonial alliance between Portuguese and British. There was a matrimonial alliance between Portuguese princess, you write, Portuguese princess Catherine of Braganza. Catherine of Braganza. Matrimonial alliance between Portuguese Princess Catherine of Braganza and British Prince Charles II. British Prince Charles II. Charles II. Then you write British Prince Charles II. Then you write as a dowry price, Island of Bombay, as a dowry price, Island of Bombay was transferred to British Crown. As a dowry price, Island of Bombay was transferred to the British Crown. British Crown, full stop. In 1668, Bombay was transferred. In 1668, Bombay was transferred to British East India Company, at a nominal price of £10. British East India Company at a nominal price of £10. So from the British Crown, it is going into the hand of this company, which is a private company. So this company going in the hands of the private company, British East India Company, कितने रुपए में? 10 पाउंड में. मैंने भी खरीद लिया होता, अगर जो मैं उस टाइम पे होता तो तुमने भी खरीद लिया होता, तुमने अच्छे पैसे दिए हैं. So you guys have given good amount for enrolling in the Vision IAS. So इतने पैसे में हो जाता 10 pound. Then in fact, let me tell you one fact related to this, that when Jahangir gave concessions to the William Hawkins, so he gave him somewhere around 400 Mansabdar rank or 500 Mansabdar rank. So in between that 400 or 500 Mansabdar rank, but going by this rank, what was the salary? 30,000 per annum. So 30,000 per annum salary, साल भर में 30,000 रुपए. So that itself is a bigger amount, very bigger amount than this 10 pound. And then at that point of time, Indian rupee, it was a highly valued currency. So ये तो just मतलब ऐसे ही मतलब ये तो हमारे यहाँ demonetization में खरीद लिया होता हम लोगों ने, ठीक है? So this is how they ridiculed. So British East India Company, 10 pounds, it was transferred to them. Then soon Bombay became the trading headquarter of the Britishers. Then so soon the Bombay became the trading headquarters of the Britishers. And then further else we need to write. So you write soon Bombay became the trading headquarter of the Britishers. Soon Bombay became the trading headquarter of the Britishers. Then the last thing about the British East India Company we need to mention about the Calcutta. So in 1698, this Britishers, they acquired 3 villages on lease. This name of these 3 villages, Govindpur, Sutnati and Kalikatta. So these 3 villages were clubbed together, and these 3 villages, after clubbing these villages, Saint Fort William was created, and this fort came to known as Saint Fort William, Calcutta. This Calcutta name is after the village of the Kalikatta. So you write in 1698, mention in 1698, British got 3 villages on lease. British got 3 villages on lease, that is, in 1698, British got 3 villages on lease, that is Govindpur, Sutnati and Kalikatta. Sutnati and Kalikatta. Sutnati and Kalikatta. Full stop. They clubbed these 3 villages. They clubbed these 3 villages. They clubbed these 3 villages to create. They clubbed these 3 villages to create Saint Fort William, Calcutta. Saint Fort William, Calcutta. So Saint Fort William, Calcutta. So now by this time, Madras, Bombay and Calcutta, it is there with the Britishers. Then, so I'm stopping here related to British East India Company. Now quickly we will see French East India Company, so that in the next class we'll be starting with the later Mughals. Okay? So let's move to the French East India Company. Okay? So let me write this part. So French East India Company, and this was the last company to come to India. There would be further more elaboration about these 2 companies, British and French. In fact, the next upcoming classes is all about them only. So here I'm just giving you the background. So the French East India Company, it was the last European company to come to India, and they came somewhere around that this was established in 1664, and then they came to India after their establishment. By 1668, they created their factories at Surat, then went on to create factory at Masulipatnam, Pondicherry and Chandranagar. Then, so in between 1668 to 92, they created these 4 trading centers in India. Then with their arrival, now listen, that with their arrival, the rivalry between the British East India Company and French East India Company started. Listen, that out of these all companies which are there in India, or the Europeans who are there in India, like the Portuguese, Dutch, Danes, British and French, the most powerful at this point of time, by the end of the 1600, or you can say that by the beginning of 1700, they emerged as the most powerful European companies. Then, so they were the most powerful European companies, and then their own respective countries were most powerful in the Europe. Then, so when they arrived in India, so the rivalry between the 2 was ensured. Then, so rivalry between the 2 was ensured, and it all started. Moreover, there is one difference between the British East India Company and French East India Company. This information I'll be using later. British East India Company was a private company, but French East India Company was the governmental company. Means that it was the company of the French government, but British East India Company was a private company, not owned by the British monarch or not owned by the British Parliament. Then, so this is one difference I'm maintaining here, but later this information would be used. So soon after their arrival, this rivalry started, and moreover, the French governor who was there at the time of the 1740, his name was Joseph Francois Dupleix. He was the one who initiated a strategy to further strengthen his position in India, or get the political mileage in India. What is this strategy? Interfere in the internal politics of the native rulers. So Dupleix started the strategy of interfering in the internal politics of the native rulers or the Indian rulers. So when he started this strategy, Britishers felt that why they would be left behind. So they also started this strategy. Both the companies started this strategy. So initiator of this strategy was French East India Company, but the company which mastered this strategy was British East India Company, and using the same strategy, British East India Company ousted French East India Company imperialist ambition from India. Please write few words about this company. So mention, it was the last European company, established in It was the last European company established in 1664. Established in 1664. Then you write, in between 1668 to 1692, they created In between 1668 to 1692, they created their trading centers at Surat, Masulipatam, Pondicherry, and Chandranagar. So, Surat, Masulipatam, Pondicherry, and Chandranagar. Then, after this, you write, this company was government-owned company, or it was that this French East India Company, it was a government-owned or state-owned company. State-controlled भी लिख सकते हो. So it was a state-owned or state-controlled company. On the other hand, EIC, that is English East India Company. So you can use short forms. English East India Company को EIC. So on the other hand, English East India Company was a private entity. English East India Company was a private entity. Full stop. Was a private entity. Full stop. Then you change paragraph and mention, after changing the paragraph, mention, soon after the arrival of French East India Company, rivalry started between British and French. Rivalry started between British and French. Full stop. With the appointment of Joseph Francois Dupleix, in 1740, with the appointment of Joseph Francois Dupleix in 1740 as French governor, British-French rivalry became the flashpoint of the age. British-French rivalry became the flashpoint of the age. Full stop. Then further you mention flashpoint of the age. It was Dupleix It was Dupleix who started the strategy of interfering in the internal affairs of Indian rulers to obtain political mileage. But it was the British who mastered this strategy. And using the same they cut short the imperialist ambition. So ambition of French company. So imperialist ambition of French company. So this is all about the today's class. And since I have given you background of the advent of the Europeans, so from tomorrow we'll be moving into the, not tomorrow, I don't have the class tomorrow, so this week we don't have class. So in fact that if Mondays there is a Monday or Tuesday jab bhi class hai. I don't know exactly now, I don't have the schedule. So whenever it will happen, so we'll start with the later Mughal time and decline of the Mughals. So I'm thanking you at this point of time and then say so I hope that you must have gained something in the today's class and you will keep gaining something from the classes. So good night, meet you next week. Thank you.